Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate of St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. Today's Do You Know question is, do you know what role Martin Luther played in the Reformation? On October 31st of 2017, we will celebrate the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. Most people are calling it a commemoration and not a celebration simply because we can't celebrate something that caused great havoc in the church. But it's important to realize that Martin Luther's role in all of this was not initially to split the church in any way. Rather, he desired a reform of the church, and he was a child of the reform movement that had been going on for over 200 years. And so it's important to then say a bit about Martin Luther and a little background on him and then see what his role is all about. Martin Luther was born on November the 10th of 1483 in a province of Saxony in the Holy Roman Empire, which eventually would be Germany. He grew up in a strict Christian household. His parents, Hans and Marguerite, were kind of strict parents, and he always tried to please his father and all that. And so his father, who had done some investment in copper mines, had a middle class value and was from the middle class, and he wanted his son nothing but the best for his son, so he wanted his son to become a lawyer so that he could aid in the family affairs with regards to the copper mines and so on. Luther grew up and agreed to that and started school to become a lawyer. But in 1505, he had a major experience that changed his life. He was caught in a thunderstorm on a summer day, and he was fearing for his life, and he called upon St. Anne's to save him, and if she did, that he promised that he would join the strictest monastery in the area. And so he was spared. He survived the thunderstorm and the lightning, and in that year of 1505, he joined the Augustinian monastery. And lived the life of a monk. And during that lifetime, during that experience as a monk, he became more and more scrupulous as he grew up. He always was scrupulous in terms of trying to please his father and so on. But now he transferred that to God, and he had an insecurity, and insecurity reacting to how his actions would please God, because he wanted to be saved through his actions and through the things that would please God, and he felt that he was always inadequate in doing that. And so he even spent like as many as 6 hours in a confessional until his confessors told him to get out of here and come back when he had something profound to say or some sinful things to say. So all this changed in many ways when, as a scripture scholar at the University of Wittenberg, all this change in terms of the experience that he has that's referred to as the Tower experience. Now, the Tower experience is an insight that Luther has as he's reading scripture, Paul's letter to the Romans, and he comes across the phrase that we are justified by faith. And this opened a whole new world for him. And he began to develop these ideas jumping off this key insight. And the three pillars that he developed, which is still the foundation of much Lutheranism, is the only God's grace, only faith, and only Scripture. In terms of only God's grace, that salvation or justification is a free gift from God without any merit on our part. God gives us freely and completely. So we are saved already. But through faith, we have to believe that and respond to God in that belief and act accordingly to the model that Jesus gave us in the Scriptures. So grace, faith, and Scripture were the three pillars. And this foundation for him began to grow and develop, and he developed a theology based on these three pillars, which challenged very strongly the authority of the Pope and the authority of the Church, simply because he felt that they were not being faithful to the Scriptures in many of their actions. And one of the things that really brought the whole thing to a kind of a real climax for him was what he experienced was the selling of indulgences. This was papers that people could literally buy that would guarantee that any temporal remission of sin associated with purgatory could be eliminated. You could actually buy your way into heaven. In other words, what we've been promoting. And Luther found this as extremely, extremely problematic because he began to realize that salvation is not something we can earn or buy. Salvation is a pure gift from God. The church was not at all paying attention to what was going on in Germany, but many people began to follow Luther, so finally it got the attention of Rome and the Holy Roman Emperor. The Pope at the time was Leo X, who eventually excommunicates Luther and declares him a heretic and all of his followers to be heretics. And then at the Diet of Worms in 1521, April of 1521, Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, also demands that Luther recant. Luther says, I cannot because I cannot go against my conscience. If you can prove me wrong based on Scripture, I will recant. But if not, here I stand. And so as a result, Charles V declares him heretic, and as a result of that being a heretic, Luther could have been killed, easily killed. And but he was protected by his elector, Frederick of Saxony, and as a result of that, Frederick hid him through a kind of a false kidnapping experience, hid him in his castle where Luther was able to hide for a while to get away from the fury that was over against him. And he was able to translate the New Testament from the original Greek into German. And so some of the key ideas that Luther really proposed to challenge the whole notion of justification, salvation, the role of Scripture and tradition, the priesthood of all the faithful, as well as the number of sacraments, as well as the number of books in Scripture. So it was a profound challenge to the church, and the church found it difficult to respond to Luther and to really engage in any sort of dialogue with Luther, which eventually led to all sorts of splits, from which to this very day we have 4 different branches that split from the Reformation: Lutherans, Anglicans, the Reformed tradition, and the Anabaptist. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit of what the role Luther played in the Reformation, and I hope you will come back again to more Do You Know series question to expand more on our understanding of the Reformation and the Catholic response to it. Thank you very much.